Into BQ Conversations. I'm your host, Neeraj Char. Guest today is Umesh Chowdhary of Titagarh Wagons. That railway stocks are in focus because of a, a reasonably large order book compared to what we've seen in the recent years. And add to that the fact that Titagarh in particular, aside of the fact that it comes out of T2T, is also in news because it's made a co-joint effort with BHEL to bid or make a bid for the prestigious Vande Bharat Express project as well. Umesh Chaudhary joins in to talk about all that's happening within that space and for Titagarh individually as well. Umesh, great having you. It's been a while. Thanks so much for joining in.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
The pleasure is ours. So tell us if you believe that the landscape is materially different, or a few things need to happen for the landscape to be materially different than what it has been, let's say, in a better part of the last decade.
So it's a very interesting question. So, the landscape is definitely materially different. It is a completely new landscape, if I may put it that way. But what is more heartening is that it doesn't stop here. Every day we are seeing a new progress. When we saw that the wagon demand is picking up and the trade targets are being set, there was a little bit of a skepticism that was there in everybody's mind. But the fact that the railways actually just did not set the target but went out and achieved it, and then they started preparing for the future. For the first time they prepared to place an order for 3 years of freight wagon requirements. For the first time they've set up a target what they are going to achieve in 2030, so that's 8 years from now. So they've said 3,000 million tons in 2030, and they've already started preparing and working backwards to achieve that. When they introduced the Vande Bharat and when the Honorable Prime Minister announced 75 Vande Bharats, we thought it's an ambitious dream, but they actually not only did that, they announced another 200, another 400, and now they've announced another 350, as it was there in the media reports now. I mean, just by the time you kind of start believing or the reality starts sinking in, that things are materially different, the bar is raised again by the government, and you start looking forward to the new materially different situation.
Interesting. So here's the drill, right? There are a few railway companies which have withstood what was arguably a down cycle or a low execution cycle, and are surviving and doing well, and now presumably getting large orders, as you said, 3-year orders which are sufficiently large and potency for more. What's your sense around how would the next 2 or 3 years look in terms of order inflow, starting FY23, of course, because you are a recipient of a fairly large 3-year order, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it then. So we'd love to talk about it now as how is that progressing and what else is in the offing.
Sure. So we did the total order book that Titagarh today is sitting on is about 10,000 few hundred crores, and that if it kind of translates into the historical revenue, of course, is spreading into a very long period of time. But if you look at what we did, so let me just kind of, because you just mentioned about the low capacity utilization and the downturn that was existing some time ago. So if you look at 3-year periods, so 16, 17, 18, FY 16, 17, 18, our average annual revenue of Titagarh was 300 crores or thereabouts. If you look at 19, 20, 21, the 3-year hence, our average annual revenue went up to 1,000 crores at 3x in the next 3-year period. Then we went to 1,500 crores in FY22. And this quarter, September quarter, we did about 620 crores. That's a run rate of 2,500 crores. So with an order book of 10,000 crores that have to be effectively executed over the next 3 years. So you can kind of figure out what kind of momentum there is in this entire growth trajectory or the growth cycle. Having said that, we have 3 business units. The first one is the freight wagons, where we have this large order that came in and we are already started executing it. The second one is the passenger train, what we call the transit and propulsion, where we started the Pune Metro execution. We signed the Bangalore Metro contract along with CRRC or via CRRC. And then We have bidded for some more contracts, and now bidded for the Vande Bharat along with BHEL. Incidentally, and very interestingly, if you would have followed, this is the only Indian consortium, purely Indian consortium, which has bidded for this contract. Every other consortium has a foreign partner. So when we talk of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we talk about Make in India. This is a complete, perfect example of Atmanirbharta and Make in India. We have now a capacity of doing 250 coaches a year. We are enhancing it. We will get it to about 450 coaches a year. So our, the kind of runway that we have ahead of us in this second segment of the business is quite substantial. And the third segment is the shipbuilding, bridges and defense. That's, I would say, an incubation business that we have now. We have a small order book of about 450 crores there. But we are looking at pulling that lever and firing that engine once the first two engines have stabilized. So we are going with a lot of I would say speed and aggression, but we are at the same time being a little cautious in our approach. So we are stabilizing one business, going to the second, stabilizing the second, keeping the third one on slow fire, and then pull the full lever or both full throttle on the third one thereafter.
Okay, let me just try and get some numbers because we have paucity of time, because I have to relieve you in 6 minutes. So here's a bit of a rapid fire with you. 2,500 odd crores, roughly, let's say for FY23, if we presume that's what you do, on an order book of 10,000 crores executable over 3 years, which would mean a bit of a quantum jump in revenue in FY24 and 25, even if you assume that both years you will do the same execution without any new orders. Is that a correct assessment?
That's absolutely right. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You see, again, if you look at the trajectory, so we did 400 crores in the first quarter, 620 in the second, and now we are doing about 550 odd wagons a month. We have to scale it up to 700, 750 wagons by Q1 next, or Q4 this financial year, Q1 next calendar year. So yes, absolutely, your maths are completely on target.
And the capacity utilization levels currently would be?
So we have a installed capacity of 700 freight wagons a month.
Okay.
Our target is to enhance this further to about 800 to 900 wagons next year.
By next year. Okay. And currently you would be operating at what utilization levels? Just one.
We are at about 550 wagons per month now.
Okay. So you still have some room in the current capacity while you expand the newer capacity.
That's right.
Okay, great. Now, some insight into this Vande Bharat order as well, assuming that you get, or whoever gets whole or part of this. I mean, what are the timelines? What are the numbers that could come about, and what are the execution challenges for something like this? I heard you say this is not the only one.
No, this is not the only one. There are already 2 more tenders that are already floated, and they are likely to be further more tenders. But this is an important one because it's the first one. So this is for 200 trains. The L1 is likely to get 120. The L2 is likely to get 80 out of the qualified ones. So they are still in technical evaluation. There are 5 bids, as we all know, in public domain. And I would like to repeat, ours being the only Indian bid, purely Indian bid, which is a matter of great pride for us. And we partnered with BHEL, who are also very competent in the propulsion field. They've been the propulsion suppliers to the Indian Railways for several years now, several decades. In terms of execution, the contract stipulates that the first train has to be developed in 2 years, in 24 months.
Okay.
And then the contract has to be fully executed in about 7 to 8 years from the date of signing of the contract. That is for the supply part of it. And then there is a 35-year maintenance attached to it. So then we will have to do a complete full maintenance of these trains for 35 long years. And that is in itself a very good business to be in worldwide. O&M or even only M is a good business to be in. And that's something which the Indian Railways is introducing afresh. It's not something that we followed in the past.
Okay. You need to raise any kind of funds, equity end for having the capital needed for executing all of these expansions and the orders themselves?
As of now, no, we don't have any need or any plans to raise capital. But then, business is always dynamic. If for the levels that we are now targeting for the immediate future, we don't believe, because we've already spent a lot of money over the last 3-4 years to develop capacity. So we saw the writing on the wall. The infrastructure growth and the India story. We always believed in it, and what the government has done, under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, we were very clear that with the Make in India narrative, with the Atmanirbhar narrative, and the kind of thrust that is going on infrastructure development by the government, the Indian industry will see demand sooner or later.
Sure.
And I would say sooner than later. So we kept on investing and built up our capabilities and capacities. And today we are really getting the benefit of that.
Okay, I have to thank you, but a quick 30-second answer before that, Umesh. When I'd spoken to one of your peers, they had said that such large capacities enable you or enable companies to even consider profitable exports sooner rather than later. You would reckon that's true? Something 100%. Coming your way as well? You would want to do that?
I would not like to specifically get into that, but yes, absolutely. Unless you have scales in your domestic market, you cannot hit the international market.
Okay, but you are not looking to get into exports.
America, everywhere, that's been the story. And we already have started looking at internationalizing our business in exports.
Oh, okay, you have. Okay, great. Okay, I understand you have shortage of time, so I'll leave you at that. But Umesh Chowdhary, fantastic talking to you. Congratulations. All the best for the Vande Bharat order as well.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having you more often on the platform.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, and viewers, thanks for tuning into this edition of VU Conversations.